Happy Monday morning jumpstart time. Ted, are you jumping?
Well, I'll jump right in. I'm gonna go a little personal today.
Go for it.
To make a point and then bring in the theme today. I'll share this briefly with people because I'm sure there's plenty of people that don't have any context of who I am. But I was transracially adopted and raised in a white family. I do have a sister. I have 4 siblings, and I do have a sister that was also biracial, Black and Vietnamese. But we grew up in a 99% white community. Why do I share this? So I grew up deeply insecure about that because of my life experience or whatever. And so by the time I got into, I was graduating from college, even in college, very insecure. But when I got out into the workforce, all my energy was being put into, and I'm gonna go back to what I said last week, making people realize that I was smart, right? That I was an educated Black person. And I'm being as real with you as I can, right? Mm-hmm. Really, really insecure every time I walked into the room, every time I walked into an interview, and I was getting good jobs. It wasn't like I wasn't succeeding, but I was riddled with that insecurity, right? Then, when I was 23 years old, my dad got diagnosed with cancer. And as I've shared with people that have spent time with me, he gave me a lot of great advice in that last 6 to 9 months that he was passing. And one of the things that he said was, let people discover that you're brilliant. That was all under the same bucket of, you're just not showing up as powerful as you can be. Like, you're so hell-bent on proving to people that you're smart. You got your tie buttoned up and you're mm-hmm. always completely articulate. I mean, this is coming from, and he knew, like, I used to study the dictionary and try to insert a new word into my vocabulary and oftentimes misuse them. And my father would say, like, you sound ridiculous, like, speak naturally. But I did not have the trust in myself that if I just spoke naturally, that people would think that I could be accepted. Now, here's why I share this with you. And that got in my way big time, right? And not only did it deplete me of mental and physical energy, but it didn't have me do what I asked people to do last week, which is build authentic relationships with different levels of people. I was just out there trying to prove myself. What I did not do back then is what I'm asking people to do for this Monday morning jumpstart, is to fully embrace, number one, name and fully embrace your insecurities, right? I was deeply insecure. There was no way I was going to tell anybody that or admit it or name it or embrace it. I was going to cover it up with a suit and articulation. And that's what I was doing. And it was madly in my way, right? Until unfortunately my dad passed. And it still took me years after that to settle into the skin that I am today, right? What I want people to do today, I'm going to say this in simple terms, but this is not simple. I want you to name, like, I want you to get off this call today and write down on paper, what are your top insecurities? What are you insecure most about? That could be something about a skill set. It could be something about the way you look. It could be something about not the way you write. It could be anything. We all have them. The question is, have you named them? And then underneath of that, what I want people to do is, how am I showing up to mask? Because we got to figure out what the thing that I find about insecurities is that we try to overcompensate for them, right? And then all of a sudden, they're not serving us well. They're not allowing us to build the relationships that we do. They're not allowing us to focus. So all the things that we've talked about in the last couple of weeks, do we build authentic relationships when we're trying to mask an insecurity? We do not. Versus letting somebody know that I'm a little insecure about this, and all of a sudden there's a connection point. Or even doubling down on certain things when we talked about the SWOT. When we're out there putting all our energies into proving ourselves and overcompensating for an insecurity, we're not zeroed in on what's most important for the business and for our livelihood. We're focused on overcoming those insecurities or presenting ourselves. I remember on the last call, you're like, so many people want to start with all the things they've accomplished and why they're so great and all the rest of this stuff. Well, is some of that happening because you're just insecure about something specific? You may be insecure that you've only been writing for a year. So how do you overcome that? Some people will argue against me, but you tell people I've been writing for a year, but here's why I think you should bet on me? Or do you act like, which a lot of business owners do, even solopreneurs do it. For example, they're so insecure about being a solopreneur that on their website, they say the team. Our team of writers, really when it's only Jade behind the scenes. Well, what is that? Why are you doing that? And what do you, and so I don't want to belabor the point. That's why I said I'm going to put this simply, but I shared the personal thing because it's not simple. It is complex for each one of us as individuals, but I want you to name your insecurities. And then I want you to do some exploration around, are you actually trying to overcompensate for them? Are they showing up in certain ways unconsciously? The other word that I use behind this is that insecurities sometimes manifest themselves in certain behaviors and ways we speak and all the rest of the ways we dress and all the rest of this stuff. I chuckle when I say the way we dress thing, because I gave up wearing suits. Yeah. And I just don't wear suits anymore. I own a couple sports coats, and every once in a while, maybe once a year, I'll put them on. But here's the deal. When I put on a sports coat, this is very true. Something's triggered in me. I act different. Yeah. Like, it's like I'm back in that thing. And so, yeah.
Well, I think the importance of this, Ted, is what happens on the other side. Because it's so funny that we actually talk about this and bring this up. I'm a part of a women's group, and we meet like once a week and like talk through different things. And the women on last week, and she was talking about how her thing that she's trying to overcome is that she doesn't express viewpoints that she has, and so she's hiding certain parts of herself from her current partner because she's too scared that he's not going to like all of who she is. So she holds back on her. And I actually brought up with her, Ted, one of your things, which is like the gift of truth. And what happens when you don't deliver that you deprive the other person on the other side, right? So I think the same thing kind of reigns true here. When you don't show up fully yourself, you're depriving whoever you're in those relationships with that we talked about last week of fully knowing and loving you, and you're depriving yourself of knowing what it feels like to have people in your group and in your circle who fully love and fully accept you. Because listen, not everybody is for everybody. Not everybody is going to love you. Not everybody's going to embrace you. But the people that do, the depth of those relationships and the strength of those relationships is so strong, and it's so much more fulfilling than any surface level stuff will any be. And I'm sure you saw that in your business, Ted, like when you took the armor off and you were Ted and you opened up to who you are and why you are who you are and why you're doing what you're doing.
My business blew up.
Exactly.
And look, and that's hard though, because you worry about whatever. And, this could go into this. There's so many things that we've talked about in the last couple months, right? We talked about the vision piece and all the rest of that. Do you own your vision, or do your insecurities own your vision? Are you out there trying to prove to somebody? Do you want to be $1 million business, and really a $150,000 business would serve you in your life and your vision more? Like, all this stuff winds up being tied in. So I want you to reflect back on some of the things that we've talked about, because this could be a cornerstone of your involvement. This could be a cornerstone of you building a business that really serves you well, but it does start with you.
100%. Okay, so you want to recap homework for this week before we round up, Tim?
This is just name them, right? Yeah. For most of it's them, it's not it, right? Name them, right? For example, another insecurity, like if not now, I don't feel this now, but back then, like when I started a business, I was more like the person that Jade mentioned. I need to let people know I know about the X's and O's, and I know what a spreadsheet is, and I know what a margin is in business and all the rest of this stuff. The insecurity was, if I talk about what I think is most important and convicted in my soul, that I'm going to be seen as some fluffy guy that doesn't want to, and I had to overcome that. So you're going to have to name it. How's it showing up? How can you pivot from how it's showing up to serve you and your business better? But it starts with naming the insecurity.
Awesome. Okay, wonderful. We'll see everybody next week. Thank you again, Ted.
Cool. Take care.